Hey everybody. Today we're going to be talking about what keeps you alive. I'm literally going to cover everything here, so if you don't want any spoilers, just come back after you've decided that you're not actually going to watch this movie. What initially prompted me to watch this were the reviews. It has decent reviews on IMDb and Metacritic, and an astounding 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. I just feel like you don't see that often now these days. A lot of these horror/thriller movies that you randomly scroll through on Netflix are barely mediocre, and critics and online reviews typically portray that pretty well. So I was actually really surprised when I saw the ratings for this movie, and I just had to see what the rave was all about. So What Keeps You Alive is a 2018 thriller starring Hannah Anderson as Jackie and Brittany Allen as Jules, a couple who decide to take a vacation getaway at Jackie's family remote cabin for their first anniversary. It starts off with a shot of some tall-ass trees, and then title screen. Okay. We see the couple pulling into the cabin, blasting some Silverchair as Jules announces that this is now their song. They unpack and reassure you of how much of a normal, loving married couple they are. As Jules is set out to go explore the interior, we randomly learn that Jackie is a diabetic and needs insulin, which will be important to know later on.
Have you seen my insulin anywhere? Check your bag, back pocket.
So then we see Jules just absolutely flabbergasted over literally everything, like she just landed on the moon or something. As her expedition comes to a close, she realizes that Jackie has gone outside to go awkwardly stare at nothing like she's possessed or something. When asked about it, she deflects and urges them to go eat dinner. Later that evening, they decide to get all cozied up with a glass of wine and some smooth romantic acoustic guitar. Maybe some John Mayer or a little James Blunt if things are feeling extra spicy? Nope. Jackie decides that she's gonna play a song about there being a demon inside her and that she's going on some rampant killing spree, I think. Either way, it's not exactly Wonderwall, but good news, that's exactly what turns Jules on and things start to get hot and heavy. Mid-wrestle, a car pulls up and is spookily revealed to be Sarah, a childhood friend of Jackie who lives nearby. But Sarah calls Jackie Megan. Later, Jackie explains that she just never liked her name and that she changed it when she realized that she was gay. Then, to cut the awkward tension, Jackie gives Jules a beautiful locket with an adorable picture of the two of them in it. Problem solved. Later, Jackie tells a story about how, when she was a girl, her dad took her out hunting to teach her about life. While out, she came face to face with a black bear and shot it down, but apparently didn't fully kill it. She tried to put it out of its misery, but her gun jammed. She explains that she just stood over it and watched it until it died. But she doesn't just tell you that, she describes it like only a psycho would.
I watched the life slowly fade from her eyes. I'll never forget it.
Jackie says that her dad used to tell her, "You only kill what keeps you alive." Movie title and name, nice. So, a lot of strange things are adding up about Jackie that apparently went completely unnoticed previously. Jules isn't having any of it right now and decides to pay Sarah, Jackie's childhood friend we met earlier, a visit while Jackie ran into town for a bit. Sarah's house is across the lake, so Jules hops in a rowboat for a nice relaxing float on over. No, this literally feels like I'm watching like the Flying Dutchman just emerge from the depths of the ocean here. This scene just feels so intense. Jules is then welcomed by Sarah, and they head inside. She finds a picture of Jackie and Sarah's kids, along with another girl. When asked about her, Sarah tells Jules about Jenny, who had died only shortly after that photo was taken. Sarah explains further that, no wait, the man of the hour is here, wine connoisseur Daniel, Sarah's husband. God, I love this guy for no apparent reason. I sure hope he doesn't die later on. Anyways, the shot fades to black, but it's assumed that Sarah then explains to Jules that Jenny had drowned and that Jackie was possibly involved. It's also important to note here that Jules had apparently invited Daniel and Sarah over for dinner in a couple of days. Okay, so I'm like deep into editing this right now, and I'm just realizing that Sarah's actress played Becca in Superbad. Like, it's really taking me back right now to my youth. So extra brownie points there. The next day, We can see the joyous couple taking a hike through the woods, which eventually leads Jules to confront Jackie about what she had found out. Jackie puts on a solid show of snot and tears, explaining that she would do nothing to hurt Jenny and that it was all just one big accident. Yay, everything is fine now.
God, Jackie, this view is just...
And then, oh my god, Jules is gone. I don't know if it was just me not paying much attention in my first watch through, but good god, I was not ready for that. That went 0 to 100 just so fast. So we see Jules at the bottom of the cliff looking just so incredibly dead as Jackie heads back to the cabin to brush up on her acting skills in the mirror.
I don't know what happened. Just wake up, babe, please.
She then heads back out to deal with Jules, but when she returns, Jules is gone, which may be the biggest twist in this movie, that Jules is apparently immortal. She stumbles through the forest visibly messed up with some broken limbs, but I think she came out pretty good considering. She snaps her arm back into place and is definitely wishing she would have pushed harder for Disneyland instead of the remote cabin in the woods. Jackie puts on her worried facade and begins the search for Jules, who takes cover just out of sight. She then witnesses the big reveal and confirmation of Jackie's intentions as she is seen flipping back to her normal, undisturbed state like nothing. Though frustrated because she lost track of her quote-unquote bear. And then the flashbacks start. These continue to happen periodically throughout the rest of the movie, and I just really don't think they're all that necessary, but they pretty much just depict Jules as being this crow figure and Jackie as an eagle. I guess since the eagle is seen more as predatory and crow as prey, although apparently crows are sometimes known to fight back against eagles, so symbolic, I guess. Jules passes out for the night, and then in the morning takes a nice big gulp of dirty swamp water. Yum. We then see Jackie, full on COD mode, who's now on the hunt, with what I believe is a tranquilizer gun. Jules manages to make her way back to the cabin to down some painkillers and stitch herself up. She looks for her phone, but seems like Jackie took it, and finds out that she has no Wi-Fi on a laptop, which may be the most unrealistic thing in this movie, not having Wi-Fi, or at least not knowing there's no Wi-Fi where you're going. Anyways, she then decides it's in her best interest to row on over to Sarah and my buddy Daniel's house, where she's definitely not going to be seen by Jackie in the most open area ever. Oh wait, she's immediately seen by Jackie, who starts firing away at her. But the wind must be strong because she completely whiffs her shot, unlike her perfect display of accuracy previously. Jackie then proceeds to hop in another boat chasing after Jules, and just immediately, she's already like only 20 feet away. But it takes what feels like another hour until she's finally caught up, even though Jules is just the world's worst rower. She then boards Jules' ship when just in time, my boy Daniel comes to save the day. Not really, he just kind of stands there nonchalantly with his signature glass of wine. He gazes out at the couple as Jackie threatens Jules not to say a word. But Jules just goes against Jackie's threats anyway as she yells out to Daniel suggesting they should meet for dinner tonight instead of the following day they had planned earlier. Okay, so this part is a little confusing to me. As of now, both Jules and Jackie are in the understanding that dinner with Sarah and Daniel will put an indefinite hold on the killing of Jules. But previously, when she told Jackie about having dinner, Jackie immediately pushed her off the cliff to her assumed death. So why all of a sudden is Jackie hesitant? Couldn't she just off Jules now and then take a last minute rain check on dinner or something? I mean, that was her original plan, right? Or is this some kind of consequence lesson that Jackie's trying to teach Jules? But that just completely goes against why she's doing all of this in the first place. I don't know, this part just bothered me a bit. Anyways, the two journey on back to their humble abode where Jackie is seen bathing Jules with a knife. This is ultimately where she confirms that her motive for doing all of this is to cash in on the insurance money. She further explains that if Jules says anything at dinner, she will descriptively stab Sarah in the stomach. Jules does this super weird begging thing, and Jackie also apparently has some sort of healing powers because once all tidied up, Jules' face is completely free of any scrapes or cuts. And I guess I'm still just amazed that she can even walk in the first place after that fall, but Okay, sorry, I'm getting off track. So Daniel and wife make their way to Jackie's cabin for dinner. Jules kicks it off with some awkward dinner speech.
You hope for the best. And you just pray you don't get the worst.
And we're off to a great night. We can see Jackie chatting alone on the porch with Daniel, while she apparently trusts Jules enough to leave her alone with Sarah just inside. They're out of hearing distance from each other here, but still able to see through the many windows available. This would be a great opportunity for Jules to discreetly tell Sarah that, hey, don't make it seem like I'm telling you this, but my crazy wife who drowned your friend Jenny all those years ago, that was just a warm-up for her. Now she wants to kill me, and probably you, and she already pushed me off a cliff, but I'm immortal. Jules does exactly that, minus the discreet part, as she is seen just so obviously whispering to Sarah Jackie's dark secret. Jackie sees this happening as Sarah attempts to warn Daniel. He unfortunately can't hear her, and then gets a knife to the throat. And now that tiny sliver of motivation to continue watching this movie had just bled out onto the floor. The string quartet commences as Jackie continues her killing spree, chasing Sarah down and repeatedly stabbing her in the stomach like she said she would do earlier. Gotta admire sticking to her word. Also, I'm sorry, but these scenes just look so awkwardly filmed to me here. It's like the cameraman got in the way of Jackie here and was like, oh, oops, my bad, no, please, after you. Anyways, Jules is just frozen from shock, I guess. The two of them then drop the bodies in the lake, R.I.P. Daniel and Sarah, and then head back to the cabin for a weird, moody montage.
Your conscience isn't a source of strength. It's your Achilles heel.
Yeah, okay. The next day, while snooping around, Jules finds a hidden tin with what looks like 5 lockets in it, exactly like the one Jackie gave her. So this means that Jackie's killed at least 5 other people, 6 including Jenny, and it just amazes me that the police or whoever isn't finding any sort of link here. Like, really? Like, I just at least hope to see her featured on Cold Case Files or something. So then the couple hops in the car just like old times, driving to our favorite cliff for some more diving practice. But Jules has finally had enough by plunging a tranq dart into Jackie's neck that she was somehow able to get her hands on. Anyway, she makes a break for it and somehow ends up exactly at that cliff spot. And she doesn't just jog up there either, she literally runs right to the edge of it. And she looks absolutely baffled too, as if she didn't have plenty of lead time to realize where she was going. But lucky for her, Jackie passes out right before sending her to her death, again. Jules now has every advantage in the world with some time to take a few deep breaths and plan her next move. She could maybe try to tie her up to buy some extra time, or really just push her off the cliff and end everything once and for all. She has plenty of evidence against Jackie to do so. She then decides to hop back in the car and makes her way to the nearest police station. The end. Nope. Another pretty much useless flashback motivates her to turn around back towards Jackie to do what she could have just done 10 minutes before. But, oh look, she's of course gone. Oh well, maybe next time, Jules. Now, it's time to go back to the police and the end. No, Jules just goes full 180 here and is out for blood. Just quite a sudden change in character. She heads back to the cabin and blasts her and Jackie's song with gun in hand, looking like a real Patricia McCloskey. The sweet sounds of Silverchair lure Jackie back into the cabin, unarmed and unaware of Jules getting the drop on her. She's dropped to her knees as Jules is finally taking some initiative by hitting her over the head with a gun. Jackie then flips some story about how the gun is so old that it might blow up in Jules' face. This starts just really overloading the gears in Jules' head, as she just lets Jackie stand up, turn around, and come closer. Jules fires, but of course misses, and then does some sick prone barrel roll shot, but also completely misses. Jackie runs upstairs, pulls a bamboozle on Jules, and then we're shown this weird, out-of-frame shot of them duking it out. We finally see that Jackie has come out on top to claim her championship belt and begins to drag Jules back to the familiar cliff spot, and without hesitation, pushes her over the edge to her death. Finally. Right? Maybe? She then calls up 911 with a rehearsed sob story before hanging up prematurely. Jackie then begins to have the exact same flashback Jules was having for some reason. In this one, We get to see beforehand, which shows Jules helping give Jackie her insulin shot. She explains that Jackie actually needs pre-mixed rapid acting, which tells us, oh, Jules is super smart when it comes to insulin shots and, science.
Yes, science!
So then Jackie is seen scrambling to inject herself with that sweet, sweet insulin. While doing so, she sees Jules' half-open laptop on the table, and thank God Jackie just happened to sit down at that exact spot right as she was taking her shot, because Jules had apparently pre-recorded a message saying that she had somehow replaced the insulin with hydrogen peroxide. And then goes on to explain the specifics behind it because we just found out that, she's good at science, I guess?
Science!
Essentially, she just tells Jackie that she's gonna get messed up and have a stroke. And die? We are then blessed with this beautiful shot that looks like it's something out of some early 2000s Dare commercial. We then get some nice slow-mo of Jackie prancing through the forest until she's shot down with a stroke bullet, and then she sees a bear and herself as a kid too, I guess, I don't know. Now we pan over back to Jules, who is looking equally as messed up, but definitely dead. Please God, do not blink. Please God, do not blink. Okay. And we're met with the very first scene of the film. We've just really come full circle with this. It's sad to see Jules not make it out, even after that initial fall, but I suppose it's more realistic and believable and enjoyable that way. Oh my God. Okay, so there's a lot to be said here. There were some okay points. I thought despite the course of the movie, Brittany Allen did a pretty good job portraying the emotion of her character. And then, there was Daniel. I think it just fell flat for me when I began to lose hope with Jules and lose interest in the characters. I actually started feeling frustrated and annoyed with both her and Jackie, just due to their decision making. It immediately breaks immersion and suspense for me when characters do unrealistic things over and over again. I'll give a pass to Jackie since she's, psychotic and stuff, but just the actions that Jules took or didn't take seemed random and just stupid. But I've also never been chased to death by my significant other, so what do I know? Also, the big twist at the end just didn't feel like a twist at all for me. It was just like, oh, okay. There were also just a lot of things that felt rushed in or misplaced, like they were added last minute or something, and just a lot of holes and inconsistencies in the story. Anyways, there were areas where this movie showed promise, but all in all, it just fell short due to both of the characters and the film's decisions. I'm just honestly baffled at how good of a rating on Rotten Tomatoes this has. I'm not really sure why, but hey, what can you do? So, in conclusion, I'm gonna give What Keeps You Alive a solid 2 cliff jumps out of 10. 2.5. Okay, a huge thank you to everyone who stuck around to the end. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed my review. This is my first video. I'm really excited. I actually really like doing this, despite the novel of script text I had to write and the work that goes into something like this. I definitely want to do more of these in the future, so please stick around if you enjoyed this one. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later.